ben Adahán, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, here on the 25th of Adar, in the English, and he passed away in English in 1846. We're talking about nearly 180 years ago here from the time of recording. He was born actually in Taf Kuf Chaf. That was year 1760, respectively, over here. And he was actually came from a great family in itself. And he was born in an area called Tituan in Morocco, respectively. Very interesting enough, a place we've spoken about on various occasions on this series. Now, he grew up under the knees, let's just say, of the great rabbis of Tetuan, respectively, over there, including Rabbi Menachem Nahon, Rabbi Moshe Halevi, another great rabbi, Rabbi Vidal Israel, Rav Shlomo Rofa, and there was many. He would go on to become a great Talmid Chacham, great Torah student in of itself. It's actually interesting. The family Adahán are considered yuchas, like got a lineage connection to King David HaMelech, it's reported over, and I think it's hinted by the Roshei Teivot of the Mishpacha in of itself. Ani David HaMelech, Asher Nimshach. Very interesting. So if you take those gematria, I believe that Adahán, that would actually comprise that. The Ani is an Aleph, the David is a Daled, then the Hey is HaMelech. Naturally, the Asher is the next word, which is Aleph once again, and then Nimshach, which is with a Nun, respectively. So that would be like the acronym, let's just say, of the family Adahán in of itself. Now, he was close with various different great rabbis of that specific day in of itself. Now, one of the rabbis who we have mentioned about on various occasions before was who he was actually had a close connection to when it came to Torah matters in of itself, was the famous Rabbi Yitzchak ben Walid, who was a very great rabbi of that specific point in time, which he was a rabbi that we've spoken about on various occasions before. So he was one of the rabbis that he would correspond with very much so. And Rabbi ben Walid in himself was, let's just say, I think one of the great Kabbalists of that time. There was also Rabbi Yitzchak Nahon and Rabbi Yaakov Kalfon, and the great rabbi called the Rabbi Shmuel Lasri. I think he would become the rabbi of Gibraltar, if I'm not mistaken, or the sage Rabbi Yitzchak Halevi. And there was another great rabbi also with the name Rabbi Nehemiah Gabizon. So these were great rabbis of his time. So very interesting enough. Yeah, going back to it, I think Rav of Gibraltar, maybe it was Rabbi Yitzchak Halevi, but I'll have to double check on that also. So he would go on to excel really greatly inside Torah. He'll devote all his time to Torah study. He would teach actually in the yeshiva over there in that specific vicinity. I believe the name of the yeshiva was called Yeshivat Ben Ulial. Very interesting enough. I think it was set up by the famous philanthropist, very wealthy person called Yehuda Ben Ulial. I think he happened to be from Gibraltar, respectively, over there. And very interesting. At that point in time, there was difficulties financially all over Morocco. And he would make, it was tough to make living over there at that point in time. He was a rabbi who was really deeply, let's just say, involved within regards to teaching in of itself. And but much more can be stated within regards to that. Now, it was a lot of anti-Semitism that took place during that time period, especially at the end of the late 1790s. Now, it's reported over that in the year 1790, the Sultan Yazid ordered the killing of all Jews in Tetuan. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of Jews lost their lives. They were murdered. I think the soldiers, they even went to confiscate the property also. You see the measures of anti-Semitism in those days, nowadays, how bad it's always been. And come what the year 1808, I believe the Jews of the city were expelled, and they were allowed to live in the neighborhood which was designated for them. They were forbidden to wear colored clothes, it was reported over, and their livelihood, their professions that they were able to do were more like degraded professions, not like upper class jobs in of itself, which another anti-Semitic step in of itself. Come with the year 1845, he would eventually move to Eretz Israel, the land of Israel, with his family, and would settle in Jaffa. And I think later on, eventually, he'll move to the city of Tzfat, one of the four holy cities of Israel. Rav Avram would go on, that happens to be his son, as a Dayan in Tzfat, if I'm not mistaken, a very prominent position. He passed away, Rabbi Yosef ben Adhan, passed away in the year 1846. Now, it's reported over that we don't exactly know the date when he passed away, but the Hilula is commemorated by some communities on the 25th of Adar, apparently Adar Bet, because that was the day when Rav Shmuel Nachman and Rav Shmuel Israel were among the great sages of Tetuan, would sign, let's say, Haskama for his book called the Shofarei Yosef. I think this was at a later stage. Now, there are other great Torah books that he left behind. I think some of it in manuscript form, but I'll have to double check on that, including the Yosef Chen, which was a book on the Shas, the Talmud Bavli, Vayome Yosef, also on the Shas, Hod Yosef, which was on the Torah, Shovrei Yosef, which is various, let's say, Drushim and Remazim, Geulat Yosef, Midrashay Chazal, with regards to the great rabbis, or Tzorot Yosef, Beniglav Benistar, I think delving more in the deep Kabbalah. It's interesting, a lot of these books have the word Yosef, his name inside of it, respectively. The Shovrei Yosef, I think, came out after he passed away in Alexandria in the year 1897. That would have been about just over 50 years after he passed away. I think it was through his grandson, if I'm not mistaken, Rabbi Yosef ben Nisim Adahán, who he himself happened to be the author of the great Torah book called the Maaseh Bereshit. He's a rabbi. Actually, we spoke about on various occasions before, Rabbi Nisim Adahán. And I would recommend everyone to check over that video we did on the great Chacham over there, because very, very much, it's always good to do Chazarah. He himself, I think, was Rav Yosef Nisim Adahán, if I'm not mistaken, was buried in Spain. He was one of the great rabbis of his time, one of the great Kabbalists, and he passed away, I believe, on Chet Shvat. This was about, his Hilula was about a month and a half ago here from the time of recording. So wishing you all well. Please join the channel. We're a community here. We're learning about the great rabbis of yesteryear. Please like and share the videos to people that might be interested. If you happen to be related to any of these great chachamim we are speaking about, please send me an email. I'd love to hear more. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, subscribe to the channel now, please. I really appreciate it. So wishing you all well. Take care and blessings here from the city of Bet Shemesh in Israel.